This is how high tech we are.
It works.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low-dollar endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you're going to giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental.
As he puts down his beer. We are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back and listening to a standard Windows keyboard episode of our podcast. That's right. It is number 104. If you're not driving a car, don't forget, check out the E1R bingo card link in the show notes. And again, I have to say, I'm very impressed by everybody who keeps sending us screenshots of their winning bingo cards. We still have not yet had a cover all.
No full cards yet.
No one has gotten a full card yet.
I think that's really hard because there's some topics that don't go together.
I don't know. We talk really long very frequently.
Sometimes.
So. Well, let's start the show off like we always do. What you working on? Mental, other than your buzz.
Fair. Took the missus to the Monster Energy South Point 400 at Las Vegas International Speedway here on Sunday. So just the exposure to my roots. And then we finally got plates for the Touareg. So we're legal Nevada citizens now.
And Tiguan? It's a Tiguan, not a Touareg, right?
I'm sorry, Tiguan. Yeah. Let me go get another beer.
Touareg
what does the badge say on the back? Let me go look at it.
It says Volkswagen.
Vicky wants this one to run, so she doesn't let me touch it a lot.
That's a good choice.
So,
that's smart of her, yes.
Yes. But genuinely, and then if they stop making demands, we will close on our friggin' house Saturday and we can move out of the RV.
That'd be nice.
That's great. It's good not to be homeless.
Well, I like you're literally digging into this redneck lifestyle. You went to a NASCAR race. You're living in an RV. Like,
hell yeah!
Like this is all right.
Was that the first ever NASCAR race you've been to?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
But I think it was. Well, it's the second one I took her to when we lived in Colorado. I took her to one in Kansas. Then we went to this one. Now I've been to the 500. I've been to the one in Atlanta. I genuinely enjoy watching NASCAR in person. On TV, just oh God, it could not be more boring. But
what do you do during the competition cautions? Does everyone like run to the bathroom like halftime at a football game?
See, I plan ahead and make sure that I've got my beer already. So I'll go down, towards as they're about to wrap up one of the early, things and grab a couple beers because there's no line there.
Gotcha. Chris, what you been working on?
I did an HPDE at Pocono South with NASA on Saturday. If you've never been to Pocono Raceway and they have an opportunity to go to Pocono South course, don't do it. It's a terrible course, frankly. It's
That's so true.
Yeah, the Civic was running 51-second laps while also hitting a top speed of 110 to show you how short this thing is. So it's basically one big sweeping NASCAR corner and then a really bumpy set of like autocross infield and then one big sweeping NASCAR corner. Repeat. Yeah, it wasn't any fun. But hey, I had a great student. I was really worried because he has a 670 horsepower supercharged Mustang. And I was like, oh, no. But fortunately, it was like this nice older architect, and he had very good throttle pedal control, and he had a great attitude, and we had a lot of fun. So that was nice.
You learn throttle control when you have a multi-100 horsepower supercharged Mustang.
Yeah.
With a solid rear axle.
No, it was a 15. It had the independent. But
okay. All right.
It was a nice car. It did fine. Only had 5,000 miles on it. So it was nice to see him out there trying it. Sunday, Chrissy and I did a lovely brewery tour of the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania out in the NSX, places we'd never been to a few, and found a great couple places. So, and since we're tearing into the Solstice a little bit, trying to get that ready for New Hampshire. We're certainly not procrastinating at all on that.
Not at all.
No.
How many weeks is it until the New Hampshire race?
Like 4.
4 weeks?
Yeah, we're fine. The car runs.
Yeah, that's true.
It has a main hoop that works.
Is it all 4 wheels touch the ground at the moment?
Yeah,
it's got wheels and they're touching the ground. That's a win.
And it starts and runs and moves, so we're fine.
over and over again from the trailer to the garage, to the trailer, to the garage, to the trailer, to the garage.
Which we've taken cars that are not starting and running and gotten them ready in shorter time.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Doesn't mean it's right.
Anyway,
Chrissy,
what are you doing?
So
Hey.
we decided I would not partake in the HPDE, which is random for us. Chris signed up and then I didn't, and then we looked at the course and we looked at how much it was, and then we decided it probably wasn't worth it for me to go. So I went to the beach and he dealt with a student. So that was great. I went to the beach, and then Sunday was our anniversary. You neglected to say that. We went brewery tour for a good reason and drank a lot, ate a lot. It was delicious. And then Monday on, I have been, actually starting Thursday, but I took a break off this weekend and then I didn't. It is my annual United Way campaign. That is my third and last year running this whole thing. And it started poorly on Thursday and has continued to run poorly since then. And I'm done, ready to bail out of this thing. Short and sweet. The issue is that basically half of United Way got hacked. So on Thursday, people started to pledge. We did a great kickoff, started to pledge, and then people all of a sudden said, my link doesn't work. It doesn't work. 1,000 times. And then we realized that everything in United Way was down. So it was 80 United Ways in the whole country. And none of them can accept money, and actually the hack is so bad that they don't have any internet, they don't have any email, they don't have anything. They can't function. So you know what? United Way is only good at one thing, is collecting people's money. So when they can't collect people's money, they do a really poor job. So I'm trying to motivate my company of 600 people to give money with some really lofty goals, but not over the internet. Here, write out this paper and put your name on it and tell me how much you want to pledge, please.
Remember that thing you used to have? It was called a checkbook.
Yeah.
Right, people.
Can you go home and find it?
People are like, my handwriting
tomorrow.
is so bad because
Right,
nobody
check.
writes things. So
No.
it's been painful. We're probably not going to make goals, but it's been an uphill battle. So yes, so I'm
what kind
trying
of special clown decides to hack the United Way?
Well-
You know what I would really like to do? Not help disadvantaged people.
Well, right. I mean, if you have no soul and you're a hacker, then this is probably a great place for you because they make a lot of money. So
And it
taking
can't
all
be
of
that
the-
challenging. They can't be that good at network security. I mean,
Well, they had a
third
hack
party.
a real bank.
They have a third party. So, I mean, the third party got hacked. So half of United Way, 80 of them, have the same third party that got hacked. So it's easy to hack the third party, take all the money from United Way, and then all the United Ways are down. So, sorry, that was a long story. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. Hopefully I make it till Friday, and then I am done with this crap, and then I can move on with my life. So
Somebody's
that's me.
getting sued.
Oh yeah, they've already lawyered up. Yep, it's gonna happen. So not my problem though. Jeff, let's complain about work more.
Sure. I worked 6 out of 7 days since the last podcast because, as we all know, it is the opening of the semester. Spent all day Saturday training young minds on leadership and congruent leadership and how to use all my software systems. So that was fun. So basically, I
Those
got
poor
almost
kids.
nothing done. I know. I actually presented straight for like 4 hours, which is almost as hard as driving a race car for like 4 hours. I like stopped and like nearly fell down, but that's all right. The one day I did have off, I did open my brand new Milwaukee reciprocating saw. As we talked about last week, I was trying to decide what to buy. Got that. I removed the last post with a high lift jack from my fence project.
That was a brilliant photo, by the way.
It did not go well. I put it on Instagram. According to the internet, if you wrap a chain around a fence post that is buried in the ground and put a high lift off-road jack on the chain, it will pop right out of the dirt. It didn't happen.
The internet lies.
The internet
No
lies.
way. Ta-da.
Yeah.
But you
and
always welcome an opportunity to use automotive tools in yard improvement projects.
Sure, absolutely. Special shout out to Florida man Donnie, who sent me a link to a cheap third-party site for getting Milwaukee M18 batteries. We should maybe put that link in the show notes. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I also cleaned the house, and I found an old friend. I'm going to pull this out here.
Hopefully not in your house. Oh,
Fantastic Shark.
And so I found the shark puppet that I terrorized the track management at Connecticut with. It was, everybody kept saying, why isn't Fantastic Shark back? Why isn't Fantastic Shark back? I kept saying, that's an old theme. We're done with that. So I don't know. I did find it. So speaking of old themes, our original theme, I dressed up like this guy. So he's kind of like, I don't know, OG. And we're quite surprised to have him as a guest. I don't know why he's so low and bored that he's coming on our podcast, but the chief perpetrator of the 24 Hours of Lemons, Jay Lamm, is actually on the podcast. Jay, are you still there?
You say that as though I have anything else to do. Which I do.
I'm sure you do.
You guys are all talking about what you've been working on in the last week. I'm like, I have nothing to say about this. They better not ask me that question because I will have no answer whatsoever.
Well, it's funny because every time we have Everything Bagel Eric Rude on, he talks about doing all things for you.
Yeah, that's why I have nothing to do, because Eric does all this.
Well,
Nick and Jeff. I mean, he's not the only one doing all the stuff for me. But.
True. You just kind of like sit back with a cigar and go, "Hey, Eric Rude."
Yeah,
get me more
a
hits.
cigar. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Jeff, Jeff, I think you found your next guest speaker for your How to Lead and Delegate conference. Absolutely.
Well, 50% of those I'm really good at.
Well, we are going to move on to our news and notes. Jay, you're officially on the podcast, so feel free to comment on any of the following news stories, including the first one, which may have some interest for you because it's all about electric cars. So last week we mentioned that Tesla and the Porsche Taycan are having a insult battle about who has the fastest all electric around the Nürburgring. Tesla responded but it didn't reserve any track time. Several sources have confirmed that a Ringer Model S, rumored to be a Lemons buyback with software known as Plaid mode, it's good to know they're still making Spaceball jokes, was en route to Germany. The car has a four-door sedan record at Laguna Seca. Another one was spotted at a shop outside of Nuremberg with a clear wicker attached to its trunk. I don't know what that is.
Maybe wing. How about that?
Wing?
No, it's making baskets out of it.
That's what I said.
I think it's a specialized type of spoiler because they had a picture of it and it's just like a 2-inch lip.
Yeah, it's called a gurney flap,
like usually. A wick. Yeah, gurney. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. It had big tires. Travis Olkowski and Brian Silvestro from Road and Track were there. They said a source at the ground has informed Road and Track that a time could be set next week. One source told us that the Nürburgring issued a schedule change for September 21st with a 30-minute private window. They already canceled other people's laps at that time. So Tuesday, according to Bob's something, that they have seen timed a Model S lapping the circuit at 7:23. So watch Road and Track, who seems to know what's going on and is on the road out there.
So I find this interesting that EVs are genuinely going after performance numbers. I can't be the only one.
Well,
why do you find that interesting?
Years ago, a good friend of mine bought a hybrid Honda Accord, which was a brilliant car, and he bought it because it was the most powerful Honda Accord you could buy with 240 horsepower if you added in the electric motors. And I thought, well, this is great. If you want hybrid cars, go after an enthusiast market because we'll set the tone for everything else, even though we're terrible about buying stuff. And up until this point, your electric market, well, not this point, but it's always been in the beginning, it was always Priuses and disappointing stuff. And now you don't have to compromise performance to have an electric or a hybrid.
Well, it's not even a matter of you don't have to compromise performance. I mean, it is a better solution to performance. Obviously, there are limitations to the envelope, and we're at a place where it's hard to do that for a long period of time. But there are some use cases. The Nürburgring is probably at the edge of it, although Porsche is trying to push that envelope. But there are certainly some use cases, a lot of use cases, where it's just a much better answer. I mean, you have essentially infinite power, you have essentially infinite traction, and you have essentially infinitely configurable packaging. I mean, what's not to like about that?
Exactly. And I like to see it marketing from that perspective. I like to see them selling it. You know, we're not just nice to the environment. We're just a better car.
Yeah. No, I think, and the environmental piece of it, a lot of us who are discovering this, okay, great, fine. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to go light a 55-gallon drum of oil on fire, to compensate for it. That's all well and good, but that's not the motivating factor. The motivating factor is that they're fast as hell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And some of them are drop dead sexy. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I do like that this follows a general automotive theme of forever of racing improves the breed. Like, I've heard a lot of people try to track Tesla S's before and not being able to complete a full lap before the battery overheats, etc. So, by having to step up to this challenge that Porsche threw, really, well, that I don't know if Porsche really threw it. Porsche just did Porsche, and Elon Musk said, ego got in the way. But it made them step up. It made them address the cooling issues. It made them, I guess, they added a third electric motor to this car to do it. They changed the suspension around it, and they did other things. So, it's maybe this is for the next generation of the Model S or whatever the case may be, but it's forcing them to improve the car in a way that they may not have as quickly had this challenge not been there and been forced to by this racing.
Well, and Tesla's had the market share kind of cornered. Not that there weren't other EVs out there, but there was only one fast, sexy, you can buy anywhere. I mean, yeah, the Fisker's out there, but that's really the only one you could find everywhere that had that market. So the Taycan coming out actually pushes them to prove that they're better.
Yeah. Well, what I'm finding, I mean, I have a Model S, and I am really starting to appreciate now the value and the foresight of that charging network. And I think Porsche is going to find they've got a real problem on their hands, because even their theory, which is we're going to put these super high voltage plugs into dealerships on the dealership lots. I also own a couple of Porsches, and I have made the mistake on rare occasion of going to the dealer for something, and they can't even park my own car. I mean, no Porsche dealership in the world has room for 5 private equity idiots in their $200,000 Taycans to go and do fast charging. So they're going to have an issue with that. All of that said, I totally want one of those cars. It is so much better looking than my crappy ass 12-year-old Model S.
Oh, you should see my 12-year-old Mazda 3. That's a crappy looking car.
I do want to ask, because clearly you're versed on this. What do you think about them co-opting the concept or the word turbo as a trim level?
Well, obviously that's a whole, I mean, the internet has wasted God knows how many electrons on that question. And I think turbo has it has acquired a secondary meaning for that brand, obviously. And as the point that everybody makes is, they're all 911 turbos now. So what the hell does that really mean? Sure. Obviously, it's a weird choice, but Porsche understands its buyer. Porsche understands its buyers probably better than any of us. And frankly, as a guy who very reluctantly kind of became a convert to that brand in old age, I do give them a lot of credit for knowing there's a difference between the people who really drive them and the people who buy them. And that is why 4 out of 5 of the vehicles that they sell are not what any of us would really consider to be a performance, sports car.
I'd like them to see them go all in with it, like a Mitsubishi Starion that had turbo on the seat belts, everywhere.
Enter the turbo zone.
Yes.
Well, awesome. We will be talking more about electric cars when we get to our main topic, but let's move on. Chrissy, you doing the next story, or am I doing that?
You can do it. You can lead into mine.
Cool. The Peterson Museum will honor the life of Jessie Combs with a temporary exhibit running through September 25th. We already mentioned who she is. I think everybody knows. Get there before it goes away. It is called the Life and Fast Times of Jessie Combs.
But we were wondering why it's temporary.
Yes.
Should be around longer.
Should be around longer.
Yes.
Go see it. Tell Peterson. Do this all the time.
Or take some pictures, which you're not usually allowed to do. But I'd love to see it, and I'm probably not going to get there. So, moving on. If you don't already know, which you must be living under a rock if you don't, General Motors' 46,000 auto workers are on strike from the UAW website. They're seeking to secure Fair wedges, not wedges, wages, affordable health care, our share of profits, job security, a defined path to permanent seniority for temps. Patrick George over at Jalopnik writes that GM outlined its apparent counter to the UAW workers, 5,400 new jobs, investment in 8 facilities, improvement, profit sharing, and some medical benefits, along with an offer to reopen its unallocated Lordstown, Ohio plant, as well as to build electric pickup truck at the Detroit Amtrak plant. So hopefully they'll get fixed because there's a lot of people out of work.
Wasn't that one where they made the Volt at the Ohio plant? Lordstown, Ohio?
I thought that was the Cruise. I used to drive by there on my way
Cruise.
to Cleveland, and they had a big Cruise on the side.
Yeah,
And I felt bad that that's what they were advertising on the side. It's like, hey, we build this. Like, way to build pride in the people and what they build.
They had to take down the giant Vega, which was...
Yeah, that's great. I feel great about my job.
Yeah.
Hey, next month is the Tokyo Motor Show, and the fine people at Mazda will unveil their first electric vehicle prototype. While that might not be super interesting on itself, hey, it's supposed to generate 143 horsepower, 195 foot-pounds of torque, and have a 35.5 kilowatt-hour battery in a short range. And, I feel like that's kind of also ran, but it's Mazda. They're usually going to do something interesting. According to James Gilboy at The Drive, they might sell it here with an onboard gas generator called the Wankel Rotary Range Extender, which, if you're going to find a good use for a rotary, that's probably it, because it's very smooth. So you won't really feel it running.
Intriguing. The
running
Wankel as a range extender on an electric. That's like... It's like the opposite of the diesel electric locomotive,
If it runs at steady state, they might be able to...
Let's make an electric vehicle to save gasoline, and then let's put the thirstiest, least efficient gasoline engine into it. So basically, we're back to just a car.
Yeah.
Well, and also it makes no torque, which is why you need an electric motor.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds like a great idea.
Mazda, I'm not sure about this.
Well, they had this Wankel patent still, and no one else is using it. Yeah. I feel like they have to. So, oh well. All
right, let's talk about recent races. Let's start outside of the crap can world from the rally correspondent Santiago Daniel Iglesias. This past weekend was the STPR, the Susquehannock Trail Performance Rally in Wellsboro, PA. The event featured a reworked waste management complex, which was like a very rough part of the road, and they had to run over it 4 times. So a lot of people broke their cars as a result. This is going to sound like a Lemons result. But the forest stages were great, although many people ran into issues at speed. 72 cars started, 47 finished. That is a 35% DNF rate. There were 32 Subarus.
That's boring.
14 Fords, 5 Mitsubishis, 5 BMWs, 4 Volkswagens, 3 Hondas, 2 944s. I think that might be more than we're at.
Were they part of the DNF crowd?
No.
Well, maybe.
Actually.
Yeah. I mean, because even if they are, then it's
DNF'd.
Yeah, we have an Eagle Talon, which DNF'd. Not a surprise.
What?
Thunderbird. Shut up. I still love them. A Pontiac vibe. Santiago hit some rocks. He needed to change a tire. Mud packed his cooling system, and he was overheating, so he had to pull it back. But he still came home in P3 in L2. That's his class, and he is leading the class in the Eastern region. Photo gallery, story, and full results available at stpr.org. Go find your own results. I'm tired of pronouncing all those European names.
We actually did feature. He had a great video of his launch at nighttime launch and we put that one up on our Instagram. It's worth looking at. Now, folks that were driving, I don't know, slightly less, slightly more reliable cars couldn't tell you, but Lemons was on both sides of the country. So they were at High Plains Raceway and Carolina Motorsports Parks. Let's start with Carolina Motorsports Park. 98 cars, 11 very boring BMWs, 4 Miatas, 8 Hondas, 2 P cars, and the Buick Estate wagon. How'd that turn out?
Well, it turned out well for some people. IOE went to skip a gear racing in their Mitsubishi Starion, and they did more than 2 laps or something, so that's enough for IOE with the Starion.
That's about what you need.
Yeah. The Moldy Carlo won overall, and if you've never seen it, this is the world's worst-looking Monte Carlo. Looks like they pulled it out of Donnie Florida Man's backyard after a hurricane, and I love my favorite part of it is it has 1 gauge in the middle of the dash, just 1. It's an oil pressure gauge, and that's all. They don't have attack, water temp, nothing.
That's all you need.
Right.
That's all you need. None of those other gauges tell you anything that's important, and you're not going to change your behavior based on any of those readings.
Yeah. Right. So that's what they have, and it works for them. So great, good for them.
Still South Carolina.
Yeah. Corolla Extra seems to have shed some of the terrible that they had with a B-class win and 6th overall. Knox Vegas, you know it's bad when your own TR8 beats your other car. So poorly done, gentlemen.
That is one of the best TRs on the planet racing right now.
That's a backhanded compliment, but you're right.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, it is because there's a lot of TRs racing. I still argue that 40% of existing surviving TRs are involved in endurance racing.
That's about 8.
So 5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Grim Reaper's Mustang was 34th. That didn't go well. Super Westerfield 89th. That went even worse. Greg Biffle's Hot Crown Vic, they had a strong start and some fast times and finished 60th, so that didn't go well. Terminally Confused, they were 17th, did all right, but they had some braking problems that slowed them down. And the new marketing geniuses at Matt Ferenchek Motorsports did great. 12th overall, 4th in B. It must be that marketing plan. Well done, Matt.
Awesome. I know you already mentioned that Terminally Confused came in 17th. Did people eat Craig's butt?
Well, that's down later.
Oh, sorry.
We're talking about Kurt's butt.
Sorry.
It's Kurt's butt, not Craig's.
Kurt's butt. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
Craig's
adventure-
butt's gross.
The adventurous Sputnik in their Access, 80th place with the head gasket issues. It did keep its roof on, according to the pictures I saw.
Great success.
Great success. Rally Fart in their 92 Eagle Talon, 63rd. Sorry for Party in their Porsche 944. One lap, 94th place. Everything went wrong. They went and they got a new motor. It was not
Matt told me the
helpful.
sad story today.
I saw
we don't
it.
have time for that.
No. We'll cover that later.
No, but their one lap was the fastest.
For the team.
No. Oh, no, yeah, not
Set fastest lap in the
it's
first
so
one.
sad when you scroll all the way down to the list bottom of Race Monitor and you see the greens and you're like, oh, you got the fastest lap of 3. Anyway, okay. Jeff Spears, Stag Party, came back and conducted a masterclass on how to drive a slow car well, and they took the Class C win, which is awesome, using their old non-supercharged motor from RTR7 that was bought on Craigslist in New Hampshire. I had to get Chris to actually tell me this.
Yeah.
Our old Buick 230.
Roger drove up and from North Carolina and bought that motor from Bruce, who's sitting in the back of the garage for 5 years, and promptly went and installed it in the Stag, and it ran great. So
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Do you even race, bro? In a Pontiac G8, 32nd.
That looked awesome, by the way. I saw it on the Instas, and it was amazing looking.
And we thought it was a hard lemonade drinking competition in a Borum BMW 73rd, hanging out at the bottom.
Must have been drinking a little too much.
Sorry, party.
So a post-race report for Kurt's butt. He said he enjoyed the plug for his butt more than any other. That's a quote from him. He also enjoyed the show, and they raised $1,400 for Lemons of Love. He's also now planning a barbecue cook-off at New Jersey Motorsports Park next year against the guys from Zero Energy, who brought 100 pounds for everyone last year at Pit Race and New Jersey. So there's going to be a butt-off at Northeast Race coming up soon, so we can all enjoy.
Battle of the Butts. There is nothing not to love about that. Florida Man Donnie even had some good words for Kurt's butt because he said it fueled him to swap the mock grass Kia's engine at CMP.
They swap a motor every single race, I think.
And if we're going to trust somebody about fatty pork products, something tells me that the Florida Man knows his fatty pork products.
He's a luxury mammal.
Luxury mammal.
So at High Plains Raceway, they had 46 cars, 10 very boring BMWs, 3 Miatas, 4 Hondas, no Porsches, because they were all rallying, I guess, and a Renault Le Car.
Or they were broken.
Well, that too. So IOE went to the team. Why would you do that in their vet? A Chevette that was ghetto charged. Nothing can possibly go wrong there. Petrosexual Racing won overall with their and B class because they have a Caddy 4100 powered Miata. So, yeah, good for them.
Did you just say because they have a 4100 power?
Yes, pretty much. That's the only way.
I believe that is an incorrect construction.
Are you saying that they won despite?
I think they won wildly despite the fact that they have a Caddy 4100 power to anything, let alone a Miata.
Well, I was just wondering if this is falling into the General Lemons rule of reliable street cars blow up spectacularly in Lemons, like all Toyotas, but terrible street cars like Alfa Romeos do really well. So maybe this is the loophole for the Caddy 4100 that makes it good. I don't know. Huh. We need a greater sample size. So everyone go swap Ford Caddy 4100s into everything you possibly can. And that'll be fine. Hella Sweet, So Fast in a boring BMW won A-Class by less than a tenth of a second over Orange Crushed Miata. Like, neck
really?
neck.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like 0.03 seconds was the difference between the two. So, yeah, maybe your transponder mount was what made the difference on that one. So, who knows? On Tetanus and Onset in a Lakar, they were 26, which is way better than it deserves for being a Lakar with a Maxima motor in the back. And they also drove with Salty Thunder Racing in a Fiero, like Ike from the Untitled Car Show, and got 7th in a Fiero. That's surprising. Sister Car got 4th, and he took home Life of the Party trophy, which well done, folks. Nice job.
Awesome. I'm noticing a theme here. Jan Bon Jovi in their Eclipse took 35th. Because DSM, they also got Org Choice. Pistola Alto was 13th in a Z32 300ZX. We love to see that. Polished Turd, 22nd. What are they driving? I don't even know.
Z. Those were all Z's. Polished Turd.
Oh, that's a Z also. Oh. And Volatile Ram in a supercharged MR2 came in 5th.
And
there goes all my crack about supercharged engines at altitude.
And the funny ones which didn't do well, Proby McProbeface in a Probe, 34th, and Dropped Packet Racing, 38th.
I would like if Proby McProbeface was not in a Probe. Like Proby McProbeface.
In a Solstice.
Like in an Accord, right. Yeah.
That would be great. All right. Now, real quick, we're just going to lean over. So Champ Car is going to be in Hastings, Nebraska for a 88 Enduro, and they're also going to be at Sebring for the 14-hour. Now, in lieu of our normal handicap, we're just going to mention that Florida Man Donnie's running the Florida Man Racing Mustang number 904. John Artman's got his engine, his Energizer Bunny-esque neon, and to aid in his success, he finally powered washed all the mold off the hood. So the car may finally blow up this weekend. And finally, we as an E1R, we're sponsoring the Fat Crack Honda Accord number 969, who's going to have a big Everyone Racers banner on its now empty hood.
Wow. We didn't give them anything either, so that's
I got to send them a case of beer. They even printed out the decal themselves.
Fair.
That's
okay.
Wow. That's shocking.
Right. Yeah.
Listener feedback time. People actually listen to our show, Jay. Can you believe that?
I was wondering that. I'm a little nervous about that prospect, in fact. If it's just the 5 of us, it doesn't really matter. But
it's not very many. We've upgraded from 5s of listeners to maybe 10s. So
we are technically international, so we got to say hi to Aaron. So on that note, so Matt F. cleared something up because we were wondering why he went to such a dynamic and inventive team name. One day he was looking through the ad section of the GRM, and next to the boner pill ads that Marjorie loves so much, there was one for a company called Motorsports Marketing. And for a mere $30, they went through thousands and thousands of possible names and came up with the wholly original name of Matt Ferenchak Motorsports. And it was deemed the most creative and the best one. Clearly it's working because they did well this weekend.
Absolutely. Corey D asked, hey, say someone said they wanted to run at Thunderhill. I can make this bucket list item come true. Reach out to me when the schedule for 2020 comes out. Thanks, Corey.
I think he was talking to just us. So if you're listening, don't take him up on that because we're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, good thing we didn't read it to everybody who listens.
Now everybody wants him. Okay, our show buddy Kathy McCaws mentioned that you need to come out to Dog Days of Thunder on November 23rd and 24th. That was with regards to our bucket list. Yep. Yes. Yes, right. Thunderhill. That's when we were mentioning it. Chris said he wanted to go there, so everybody started offering. We got some more items.
And young Chris E said on the bucket list items, he plans to, once he starts to plan every couple of years, it just needs to do is a road trip to the easternmost point of North America, arriving as the sun comes up. Point is part of Newfoundland. If you're not counting Greenland as North America, you can't because that's Denmark until we buy it. And it would be an awesome trip, especially spread out over a few days to see cool spots along the way. He says he's at a version to the eastern point of the U.S., starting on Mount Greylock as the sun set, and drove to Quoddy Head Park in Maine to beat the sun. It was awesome. I could never do that. By 2 o'clock in the morning, my brain goes, nope, it's time to sleep. That's it. So
I'll be your nighttime crew. So the Garage Hero in Training group, they seem to listen to the show for some reason. They mentioned that they want to do the One Lap of America as well. So, but their road trip is going to be from Alaska and then down the coast to the Mexican border. So they want to end with some Baja silliness. They said they really want a rally car, an original Mini Safari if possible. And the bucket list race that they want to attend is probably the bucket list race that we all want to attend. The one where the 3-pedal mafia finally gets a first place.
Might be a while. Sorry.
Might be a while.
So Guardrail Adventures on the Twatstagram said racing lemons is definitely a bucket list worthy thing, but I'd really like to drive from home on the East Coast to Moab, Utah, complete the trail in a daily driver grade truck.
They didn't say drive back. Noticed.
No, because you wouldn't get out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't break it, you didn't wheel hard enough.
Yep.
Well, there it is. So now is the traditional time where we look at our guest who we know is not looking at the guest notes and we know doesn't listen.
What page is that on?
Yep.
So
just say hi to Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
There we go.
Great.
Thanks.
If you've ever had any of our wonderful cookies at the race, Jay, which you probably have, judging at some point, those are the wonderful gift from Chrissy's mom at every race.
And you have, because you sat in the Jazzy at Pitt's race and ate them.
Yeah, totally eternally grateful. Thanks, Chrissy's mom, again.
There you go.
That was great.
So we are here with main topic time. We are going to talk to Jay Lamm. We're going to actually include him in the rest of the podcast because why not? He's all the way in from California via Skype. So we all know he's the godfather of crap can racing, the founder of the 24 Hours of Lemons, reformed auto journalist.
Yeah,
I'm doing air quotes there.
Yeah.
He's also the founder of Altthusiast, a new company looking to redefine electric cars and fun. And Jay, what else did I miss on your intro there? Anything else you want to say?
Plenty. That's plenty.
I figured.
I have a dog that I like, and I cook dinner a lot, and that's pretty much everything.
I cook dinner a lot. I have a dog I like.
Well, there you go.
Maybe someday I can run my own. No, not international. Nationwide, right? No California races.
International.
Oh, that's right. I forgot New Zealand
and Australia.
and Australia.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this, Jeff?
Let's be honest. It's the same place. I mean, we know that.
The stars are different colors on the thing. Let's get to this actual question. So we're going to start. We have to start with lemons. We'll get to Altthusiast in a minute, but you created this. We know everybody knows the story. They know the lore. But you are the face of this lemons thing, and please tell us: has Frankenstein's worse? Has Frankenstein's monster just totally tore through do you have any control of this thing anymore?
No,
do you still feel like it's you?
None whatsoever. No, absolutely none whatsoever. And I have done a whole lot of work to make it that way because you can't keep up with all of that crap. Are you kidding me? If you had to actually be in charge of that thing, imagine who you're talking about being in charge of. It's just not possible. So no, I completely. I mean, you were reading about these races, and I didn't want to say it, but like, I didn't know that they were even there. Oh, sweet. I mean, it's 5 days later, right? And I'm like, interesting that. The caddy won. Great. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. So that goes to show you the rigid control with which I operate the empire. Yeah.
You haven't had to do the wrap-up video yet and see any of it. Yeah,
that's true. Yes.
Yeah, there have been weeks where I'm like, I guess there was a race. I wonder if I was supposed to go to that. That is actually happened.
Don't you think somebody would have called you and said, dude, we're at the airport. Where are you?
Oh, no, you know what? I know that they wouldn't, and it's the greatest thing ever because at Denver, Jeff Glenn, our race manager who is in the tower,
we love Jeff.
We love Jeff. Jeff called the entire race Saturday, all day long Saturday, with a bursting appendix from the floor of the tower.
Oh no!
No way.
And
Oh my God!
And here
I knew he was tough, but dang.
Yeah, no, it's bananas. Totally banana pants. And I was talking to him this morning because, of course, he got his appendix out Sunday and was on an airplane on Monday and is in the office today. And I was talking to him this morning. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And he goes, well, I figured when I couldn't stand up that maybe I wouldn't do Sunday. Maybe I'd go to a doctor Saturday night. I'm like, Jeff, most people, it's 9 a.m. and they're starting their job and they're on the floor and they can't stand up. Most people say, I might go to a doctor now. He goes, yeah, well.
So I had mine revoked, so I know how bad it is, and it's pretty bad. So
Yeah,
I'm impressed, and I had a hard time like standing up straight for a while because it's pretty painful. So
Yeah.
he's rock solid.
Yeah, but he's totally rock solid. But here is my point. I mentioned that because I didn't even hear about this. I was at a water park in the Wisconsin Dells for my daughter's 30th birthday with all of her friends, and I'm sliding through the thing. I didn't hear about this except on Sunday, like midway through the day, I got a text from Mary Harris, Dr. Mary Harris, who turns out was at the Denver race and was the one who, stuck
You
her
might want to call
poker
her.
finger. Yeah, stuck her hot poker finger in Jeff at the end of the day and said, like, dude, I think you need to go to the hospital. So about halfway through Sunday, I get this message from her like, hey, glad I could help Jeff out with his medical emergency. I'll send you a bill, ha ha. And I'm like, what the hell is this about? So I am so out of touch that even one of my people has to be transported to the hospital for an appendectomy, and nobody tells me.
Well,
I wonder
Jay,
how much of that was like her mom voice just overriding his tough guy routine. Like he's all like, no, I'm fine. And she just looks at him and goes, you're going to the hospital.
Yeah, no, I
And
think
he just
a lot.
goes, I'm sorry.
So Jay, can I offer an alternate suggestion to why this is occurring?
Yeah.
Maybe you're just such a jerk as a boss that they're like, no, I can't call in. Don't call Jay.
It means I've done my job. Yeah. They're all so terrified and browbeaten.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're such a slave, taskmaster.
And
You do keep Eric in a basement.
Well, that's actually true. Candidly, my first reaction too was like, I kind of think they should have called me. And then Kim Harmon, who had been involved in all of this by remote control, she was at CMP, but she was also working with all these guys to get this sorted out. She said, yeah, no, we decided, our job is to shield you from drama that you can't really do anything about. And I said, she's right. That's actually a much better response than you should have told me. In fact, you did the right thing. Don't tell me. What am I going to do? Am I going to take out Jeff's appendix? I'm not. So,
well, actually, I feel a lot better hearing that Kim was around, or not around, but at least apprised of the situation.
No,
She
on the other side of the country.
She actually has decision-making skills.
Everybody else was working this problem in the entire organization. They just all agreed, well, let's not tell that guy. He's useless. He cannot add value to the situation. Let's just cut him out.
They've got a point.
Yeah. Totally. 100%.
All right, who else got another question out there? I'll jump on it if you don't want me to. Crickets, I'll go. So this strange success. You went from like auto journalist in a dying industry. I mean,
Corvette magazine,
Corvette magazine. To this vast, the king of the vast empire.
Oh, come on. What are you talking? That's king of the mice. I mean,
absolutely.
King of a vast empire.
This is like the strangest success story on the planet. Like, you've probably already answered because that story was probably better than anything you asked. But how has this like changed your life? Do you like walk down the street and get like identified by random homeless people trying to steal alternators off of Cadillac 4100s?
No, I actually do as I go around the planet. It's the weirdest damn thing. People will go, oh, hey, man, blah, blah, blah. And they'll start talking to me about, do you remember when our G-body? And in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, this is great. And this person super is into it. I have no idea. I've never. There are 7,000 people every year who do this, and there's one of me. So I'm just like, what's going on here? But yeah, and you every now and then you'll be walking on the street and some random dude in Ohio is wearing a Lemons T-shirt, and he says, how how the hell did that happen? That is the weirdest goddamn thing in the world.
It's got to be bizarre.
That's awesome.
We started a dumb podcast once, and somebody came up to me and went, "You're mental, aren't you?" And I was like, "No, I'm like the furthest."
They haven't said that at all. They all know Jeff's voice. They know Jeff's voice
they know
across the
hair.
room.
Sure.
I don't think they were using that as a noun.
That's true.
Yep.
So now, I've cornered you uncomfortably at various races and asked this question, but so you started this with absolutely no intention of ever making any money. If I recall correctly, you were just trying to minimize how much money you lost
100%.
when you started this, and it was something you and Nick were talking about when all these, guys were doing these rallies in these great cars. So how would you attribute your success to actually not trying to make money and focusing on the, I don't want to get all corporate, user experience, or just was it more about what you thought was funny as opposed to what your clients
on? Did you actually say focus on the user experience? A person who has been to Lemons is asking if we focused on the user experience. No, even
not only that, you
as bad
my
as
car in Altamont with a lemon. You came out onto the track and hurled lemons at my car as we drove by in 2007.
No, we gave lemons to the corner workers because we figured their entire careers, it's what they had wanted to do, and no one had ever let them. So I think it is safe to say that the term user experience does not come up very often in Lemons HQ. I think that is very safe to say. No, listen. I think if you had ever tried to plan something like this or tried to manage something like this, you can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
No.
it's obvious that the strongest trees grow organically, and we are obviously very appreciative of the product because we've sent you lots of our money over and over and over
that
again.
Porsche that I was telling you about that I took to the dealership, thanks.
Yeah. Not wrong.
No, actually, I think Anton paid for that one.
Yeah, possibly.
We bought the 15-year-old Model S.
That's true.
Yeah.
So now that you have all of our bank sheesh and you're got this race series you don't even need to look at, you move into this awesome electric car thing. You start a whole new company, Altthusiast. Is it altthusiast.com? I don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah.
The link is in our show notes.
Links in the show notes. So what made you decide to go into this sort of uncharted territory?
Well, okay, let me back up a little bit and just say this is not something that I talk about very much, but I have always been an entrepreneur. Lemons is not the only thing that I have done, and Lemons is not the only thing that I do now. And Altthusiast is, we can talk about it, although it's not super appropriate even to this crowd. I don't know how many people are interested in what we're doing on that. We don't have to bore them with it. But, I have always been involved in lots of different things, and I have always been involved in lots of different businesses. And, honestly, the Porsche and the Tesla, they don't really come from Lemons. They come from stuff that we do. And reasons, in fact, you're asking why is Jeff having an appendicitis on the floor? Because you can't be involved in lots of other things and be touching all of them all the time. And so you have to find people who are smart and capable and invested and can run stuff without you telling them what to do all the time. You got to do that, or else there's only so many hours in the day otherwise. So anyway, that's a roundabout way of saying, Altthusiast is another project, and it's in parallel to the other stuff that I'm involved in. And it really is very simple. I don't know what we're going to do with it. I don't even really know that it's a business necessarily, but my exposure to electric cars, performance electric cars, and my exposure to the car world for the last, 40 years that I've been doing it professionally, this is the first time in 2 decades that I can remember where something really new and really interesting has happened. We have been talking for 25 years about, okay, well, it's a turbo, it's a different turbo, but it's still a goddamn turbo. And, it's all-wheel drive. Well, yeah, so was my Mazda in 1985. There have been changes in type and degree in the car world for the last few decades, but really nothing new and there's been no substantive change of how we do things. This is the first thing where this is just a whole new ballgame, and it's actually something interesting to talk about. We're not rehashing the same goddamn technical story over and over and over again. And I would argue that the difference between non-Senna and a Senna is not really significant. And in fact, the difference between a 911 and a Senna is really not that significant. Difference between a gasoline-powered car and an electric car is wildly significant. And there's finally an opportunity to talk about something new and interesting. So that's it. I mean, that's the whole thing is, can you put up a flag so that other people who are really car enthusiasts, who aren't eco-weenies, can start to recognize that there's this really important thing happening, and it's giving us these really, really fun and interesting products. Or more interestingly, it's giving us the potential for these really fun and interesting products. I mean, I bought this used P90D, and I have lots of cool, really fast stuff. I mean, I have a bunch of cars, and I almost never drive anything else right now because it is so fast and so quiet, and it just is such a different experience from what I have been doing for the last 4 decades. So that's it. And I think that we're rapidly turning this corner where you will take my gasoline from my cold dead hands. We're rapidly turning the corner from those guys who cannot open their brain to something new, to a new world where people are realizing, like, wow, this thing is super fast. It does all this amazing stuff. You can make this platform do absolutely whatever you want. And you can bring a lot of new manufacturers and new designers into the fold because the price of entry is so much lower and the complexity is so much lower and the regulatory structure is so much lower. It's going to radically change in the next 10 years. It's going to radically change what the car is and what the performance car is. Why aren't we all talking about it?
Yeah, no, it totally. I mean, we're going to go down the rabbit for electric just a little bit further because, we started talking earlier and, you mentioned the delivery method to the Taycans and, the Taycan, the basically broken concept of, fueling at a delership.
Yeah.
I mean, that's drastically different. Yeah. Tesla's trying to break the dealership model, which, go for it, Elon. It's if the dealerships disappeared off the face of the planet, we would all dance a little jig. I mean, that's
seriously.
There's so many things that are different about the electric, the EV, and I am a huge Elon fan. I love all the things he's doing. Not all things. Let me not say that.
Let's just establish he's total whack job.
No, totally.
But crazy people have cool stuff sometimes. Yeah. He made rockets land at the same time. I don't care who you are, where you're from. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, but even like stuff like the Hyperloop and the technology, not the technology, because the technology is there, but he's the first one who says, my automaker is not only just going to make cars, we're also going to make the gas stations and the fueling stations and put them everywhere so you can fuel my car. And by the way, my car is the only one that's going to be able to fuel there.
Well, that's always been the problem with any alternative fuel aside from gasoline is the infrastructure supported, and it's a chicken or egg thing. Like, you can't sell the hydrogen cars unless you get hydrogen stations, but no one wants to build them unless there's the cars, etc. So by putting the investment ahead to make it so you can drive a long trip with these, as long as you're willing to stop regularly, then it made people okay with it.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the chicken and all chicken and egg problems resolve because for a long time you just don't have enough chickens, you don't have enough eggs, but eventually you get there. And I really didn't appreciate until I had the experience of owning this car and traveling with this car. I really didn't appreciate how intelligent that was and farsighted that was to say, we just have to make this big upfront investment and build this infrastructure. And, no other manufacturer would do that. One of the things I'm really interested by is this idea that Tesla and all of these other companies, which are rapidly coming up and coming online, they have this opportunity to rethink all of the legacy assumptions that the manufacturers have been dealing with for the last 50 years. They can actually step back and say, well, why? Like, why are you doing that? And you know, in a way, it's a little bit analogous to Lemons in that because none of us knew anything about racing or how to put on car races specifically, we were able to actually come in and just say, well, like, why do you do that? Like, do you need to do that? Watching that happen on the manufacturer level is really kind of gratifying because there's a lot about established manufacturers. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the Tesla announced that they're going to start offering insurance for their own cars. I mean, again, breaking the model.
Yeah. I don't know that brand's going to survive. I don't know that it deserves to survive. I'm not a huge, I'm not an Elon flag waver. I have an incredible amount of respect for what that guy's accomplished. I maybe have less respect for, the post 100-hour-a-week burnout life that he's probably living now. I think is a really hard life.
No, you're definitely right.
The brand may survive and it may not, but I think that what they did is they showed the entire industry and the entire culture that this is actually a different way forward. And that you can make a product that is in a lot of ways better than what's been available so far.
And I think more directly get it to a consumer and create that kind of brand loyalty because, you talk about the Tesla and the Elon fanboys, and they are a devoted bunch. Sometimes too much so, but he's created that by results, and so it is admirable.
Yeah. Well, and I would say there are, you asked about the J-Lamm being the godfather of this kind of thing, and it's a little bit analogous. I mean, I'm not comparing myself at all to Elon, but you get to this place where there is a face and everybody kind of paints their own expectations and their own belief system over the face. And it probably has nothing to do with the reality. I don't think any of us really knows what's going on in that company. What is Elon really thinking? What is his motivation? What is his mental state? None of us know. But yet we all project because it is a face that has become a brand. We all kind of project our narrative onto that. So I don't know. I don't know whether you ought to be buying one of those cars or not, but you ought to be driving them because they're super fun.
Yeah. And we talked about, frequently on our podcast. I'm sure you've listened to all 104 episodes.
Yeah.
We caught them all. You caught up. Yeah. We talk about, all of crap can racing. We talk about, Lucky Dog and Champ, whatever the hell they're calling themselves now. And, all of those people. And,
and then the two series where like the aging race cars have started to merge with the built production cars.
Yeah. Well, and the reason that we think that Lemons is my son is walking around in the background like Pennywise. We think one of the reasons that Lemons is successful might also be one of the reasons that Tesla is successful. It started as one man's vision. And as crackpotitude as it is,
vision. You're calling this
not
a vision?
Not vision.
No, like the time when you hit your head on something. And,
drunken hallucinations.
Well, no, but whatever
That's
it was,
how this podcast got started. Actually,
whatever it was, it didn't get chosen by committee.
Yeah.
It was somebody's choice, and at some point, somebody was a decision maker in the beginning to create a thing that launched a specific direction. And that's way better than something that's born by committee.
Well, you couldn't sell this idea. I mean, if you came out of a vacuum and said, hey, I got this great idea. Let us take really crappy cars and people who don't know how to drive them and let's put them on a racetrack. That'll be great. Like, that's not getting out of committee. I'm sorry. No. And that's probably an example where the wisdom of the committee is probably better than, the sole proprietor there. But here we are.
But, Elon's out there like, we're going to sell insurance and we're going to have the stations and they're going to charge their batteries and they're going to charge their batteries for free.
You look at that influence. Now Volvo is offering cars as a subscription service in the same way that you buy a phone.
I think that deal is tanking on them.
Well, they tried it, though.
We do the insurance for Lexus on that, and I haven't seen any of them come through. Anyway, so this segue into this, what is it about Lemons that made it so much more successful, seemingly, than the rest of the other lower budget endurance series that has followed in its wake? Really, I mean, we love it, obviously, but
I have you guys. I'm sure you guys have theories. I have no theory.
All right. I think, me personally, I think it's just the sense of humor is what keeps bringing me back. And it's everything from, it's obviously the people that are there and the great attitude that those people have. And that, remembering, this is about fun. None of us are feeding anyone in our family, but if anything, we're taking foods away from the mouths of our
Definitely,
family.
yeah.
Right. So, ramen for you, kids. But it's the fun, and it's even the little things like the race announcements that come out that
the emails
are very
hilarious.
well crafted and make me smile and make me read them because I enjoy the sense of humor that goes along with them, as opposed to just, we have a race, be fast, be there.
Well, that's very kind of you, but what I think you fail to appreciate is that we actually don't know how to just be professional and get to the point. So,
but that works.
Really,
and that's
by default, we are backed into making jokes.
And that's what I like about it. So I guess from my point of view, keep it up because it's fun.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. Don't close up anytime soon. We wouldn't know what to do.
Well, let's just have to start burning money instead. I don't know what else to do.
We would
with
try
it.
to go to the other racing series which we diss. So we wouldn't really want to.
We've tried, and it hasn't worked out so well sometimes. So anyway.
Yeah. So I have one more electric question, so let me get to it, but it is a Lemons question. Yeah. So the electric prize for the first full electric to win a Lemons race, I hate to say the word vision, so I'll say, what's your dream? How do you see this all working out? Is anybody even going to have a chance to do this in the next 3 to 5 years? Or
that Jet Electra is going to win.
It is a technically solvable problem today. It is an economic problem because our prize is $50,000, and that's a real prize. And I would argue, and honestly, I would argue in motorsport, it's probably kind of hard to find something like that, and certainly in amateur motorsport, it's unprecedented. But to get there, the reality is you could build it in the way that the rules are written. It's a solvable problem, but I think getting there is going to cost way more than $50,000. Because of the hardware involved and because of the engineering involved. It's just a really expensive problem to solve right now. And that's not different from any other racing series. There's basically no racing series are you really going to get your money back creating a car and then, hopefully winning something. So we're no different than that from anybody else. I've talked to a number of people who are in the electric business and in the racing business, and there are a lot of people who are kind of working on this problem right now. Realistically, it's going to take some number of years. I find it really hard to believe that when, Group A or Group B gets their, poor choice of words, bunch of people A or bunch of people B gets their electric car kind of worked out and they get their swapping system worked out and all that. I find it really hard to believe they're going to go out and the first time they try, they're going to win.
No, trust us. We know.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of technical problems there, and you're talking about racing improving the breed, and that's actually a theory that I have a lot of trouble with, which we can talk about. But I think in this case, you are looking at a handful of solvable but interesting and complicated problems to get there, and I think the fact that people are trying to work on that is really interesting. The performance is there, the range is, if you do the math of how long is it probably going to take you to change the energy system out? You can't recharge. Current technology, got to take you back.
Got to swap.
Back then. If you do all that math, it's possible. And every year it gets more possible, and the financial piece gets easier because, of course, every year more of that stuff,
more of the latest
rated stuff, is winding up in Copart and in junkyards, and you can start getting it, for pennies on the dollar. So I just think it's a really interesting challenge, and I think that anything less than $1 million nickels, anything less than $50,000, it just wasn't going to be enough to get the attention of the kinds of people with the engineering skill required to really solve that problem.
So, do you see a Lemons team winning this, or some engineering students from Georgia Tech putting something together?
I think it's a Lemons team. And there's about 4 of them extant teams that, for just weird coincidental reasons, really have the resources and have the technical ability to tackle this problem. And I've talked to them. I've talked to all of them basically at great length at this point. There's probably a few more that I'm not aware of, but I think it's a lemons team because in addition to all of the technical problems, you still got to win a lemons race. That's just a really hard thing for anyone who isn't experienced in this world. Just a real hard thing to do.
It's a hard thing for anyone who is experienced in this world.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly. On top of all of the other problems, you got to win a goddamn lemons race.
Yeah. So Eyesore is going to win it in what kind of car?
Eyesore is hella not going to win it.
No.
I feel like Spank is in the running on this one.
What? Have you met Spank?
No, not going to happen.
I think it's not too hard if you really think about it and scratch your head. It's not too hard to think about, well, who are the people who are running lemons now who are in a position to work on that problem? But yeah, so you do all that work and you spend all that money and you do all that testing and you spend all that time, and then you still, you're going to get T-boned by Spank or Eyesore, on hour 6.
Some journalist is going to drive their Integra right into your bumper.
Right, exactly.
So we actually had someone, we came in second at one race a couple of years ago, and we had some engineering type come to us and ask us for our data so that they could start doing the math on how much electricity they would need.
Yeah.
And they asked us, like, well, how much does your Civic weigh? And let me see what your speeds were throughout the entire time. And
it's a fairly easy bunch of math, and anybody who's asking you for your data is overthinking the problem. It's not that hard to do on the back of an envelope to figure that crap out.
Make a car run.
Yeah.
Swap in 10 minutes.
Yeah. You got to swap in about 90 seconds is kind of what it would take.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, because we're obviously in gas. So obviously, we're doing 3-hour-ish shifts, 3.5 to 4 when we're, trying to get our non-turboed Honda to get into the top 10. If you think somebody's going to be able to swap once an hour, that's got to be a really fast swap.
Yeah. It's got to be a really fast swap, and it's got to be a really fast car. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, out of Copart, you can get 500 horsepower and an awful lot of battery storage for not very much money, and all-wheel drive, and infinitely configurable torque to whichever wheel you want at any time under any condition. You can do all that out of the junkyard. And so you really are going to be looking at a car that is going out, lapping everybody a bunch of times, coming back in way more often than everybody else. It's a whole different envelope of how you'd have to solve that problem. But it's doable.
See, this is interesting because, we've talked about what kind of car we need and what we need to win. Again, we're talking gas, not electric, but we don't think any more than about 300 horsepower is helping you with the tire setup and the types of tracks that we run.
And the traffic.
And the traffic.
Yeah. So, yeah, well,
unless you're in a Mustang convertible.
I can't argue the specifics of those calculations, and people come up with different numbers. I think that you got to remember you're dealing with a pretty heavy car, and the tires are an interesting limit. But you're dealing with a pretty heavy car, and depending on what track you're on, you do need that thing to get out of its own goddamn way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I certainly agree that just as a general rule, I mean, horsepower particularly in lemons. Yeah, anything over about 180 is not your friend as a rule. It gets you into more trouble and it breaks more things, and ultimately it puts you lower on the finishing standards, not higher. But I think that the math indicates this might have to be an exception, this one.
I think also the tire technology has changed. I'm not convinced that the quote unquote 180 treadwear tires are a limit anymore, because I've know guys that aren't going to redo their suspension setups to run slicks, and then just keep running the same tires, and they will stick into a corner with something running slicks all day long.
Well,
so.
a lot of the 180 plus treadwear tires on the market now used to be 60 treadwear tires.
Yeah, no.
So that market has blossomed. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, to that end, that goes well to this next part. So we've all been doing this a while, and you've been doing this a while. So there is some weird and absolutely scary crap that shows up at these events going around the track. To that end, as this, this monster that has gotten out of your control, are you more scared or proud?
I think I'm proud, which is probably when you get bit on the ass.
I
Okay.
was going to say, I've definitely stood next to some scary folks
Yeah.
at a Lemons race and went, man, I'm not so sure. This guy's what? Oh, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
We
can't eliminate the word lemons from that sentence, though. That's the thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, then you get to the question: is that just that guy, or is he's doing that for lemons? You don't know.
Is that a costume?
No.
Yeah,
This is the way he always looks.
Costume or just him?
Or just him.
Yeah.
This is coming from the guy who spoke through the shark puppet for 3 straight days and refused to let people look him in the eye and just pointed at the puppet when it was time to talk.
We talk about this usually after a few beers. Is we're going to start the next big kind of media aspect of this, and it's going to be Lemons fan fiction. And the first one is going to be when the zombies come. There's a Lemons race going on, but everyone there already knows how to weld and how to build stuff. And the track is out in the middle of nowhere, so we're kind of fine. And then we end up just kind of forming a new society based on your political standing is on how well you can race. To that, let's talk about some media, because you guys, the wrap-up videos are hysterical. Go ahead, Jeff.
You forgot to ask. This sounds like a good idea. Jay, can I have some money to write this book? Or does that come later?
That comes later. I'll give you 100% of the back end.
So, but you guys, you do the wrap-up videos, and you've gotten even better, and now the wrap-up videos have started to influence the Scrotium 500, things of that nature, and then you had Spank on. So do you think it's having a strong YouTube channel? Has that helped? You got a ton of the Insta, Twitgram followers. Are you working on a made-for-TV movie?
Let me just say right now, a strong YouTube channel would be an order of magnitude more subscribers than we have. So let's just call it a YouTube channel. Well, first of all, I have to say you guys are continuing to be incredibly kind. Thank you for all of that stuff. I think that the wrap-up videos we do because they're fun to do. And I think that the people who are in the races have figured out that they're out there, and so people who go to the race, they'll watch because maybe they want to see if they were in it. There's some other handful of people out there in the world who are watching, and at kind of every race, somebody will come up to me, usually with their 12-year-old kid. Their 12-year-old kid will say, like, "You're the guy from the video. That's cool." So somebody's watching it.
I love that a 12-year-old sounds the same as the Why You Ruin Classic guy.
Well, everybody that we deal with is effectively 12. So, but I think that it's real hard to argue that making these videos that you get 5,000 views when a cat throwing up a hairball is a 35 million view proposition.
It's true.
It's real hard to argue the business case there, but it's fun. So, and it is the only at this point. So I live in San Francisco. The office is in Emeryville. That's 12. My house is 12 miles from the office. It has become a 1-hour minimum commute each way. So
Jesus.
Yeah. So about the only thing now that so I have I'm in my home office right now. I do everything on Skype with the guys. I do just about everything remotely now, the little that I do, except for the videos. And so the videos are also fun because that's like the one, every couple of weeks, I got to be there. We know we're going to be there. You order a bunch of Chinese food, it's just sort of fun to go and do that thing. And I think it's a break from, I was about to say the grind. That's clearly not correct. It's a break from the normal routine of, there is a lot of organizational and kind of operational logistical work to put that stuff on.
We're saving all of those questions for Nick, by the way.
Yeah, as well you should. And Nick's response to all of them will just be, it's terrible. We'll just be like, it's so bad.
Yep. So now I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, which everyone will anyway, is this the first podcast anyone's actually managed to drag you on?
Oh, no, I've done a handful. But,
So what? How did we manage to get? Because for a while we were actually going to have all three of you guys on at once, and then we realized that would be hilarious for us, terrible for our listeners. How did we manage to sell this to you?
Well, because I like you guys. I mean,
Right.
kind of duh. No, I think you guys are brilliant. And look, anybody who brings a Citroen Maserati to a lemon race, I'm going to do anything for those people. Are you kidding me? Like, those people are my heroes. No, most podcasts are, it's just not worth the trouble. And honestly, I don't know that much. I don't pay that much attention to the car world anymore. I was in it, as a journalist forever. I don't really know what's going on. You guys know much more about who's out there doing what and who's building what than I do. I don't feel like I have that much to say, but I like you guys.
Aww.
Well, that's really good. He mentioned the Citroen. Chris, do you want to mention that it's for sale and ask him if he wants to buy it?
Okay,
Yeah.
gotta go. See ya.
Yeah, everyone wants a no-title Citroen with a roll cage. That's great. All
And
right.
a
I can't believe nobody's asked for it yet.
I know.
Oh,
Who
wow.
knew?
True.
I thought they'd be beating down the door.
Me too.
All right, so what makes the Lemons crew laugh that people should do more of in the Lemons? What makes you
what a
guys
great
all
question.
smile?
What a great question.
And
What
Springtime for Hitler is obviously the first answer. So the
But that's
second
done. They
answer.
can't do it again. So.
Yeah, it's done.
Well, I have to say, we always laugh when people try just the most absurd, no hope in the world, no prayer in the world fix of some incredibly simple problem. Like when they have no spark and so they rebuild their gas tank. Like, we always really, really enjoy that. And we always sort of enjoy when somebody brings us a component that is so hopelessly mangled and broken that you cannot tell what it is, that they have to describe to you where it is and where it came from. That's always really fun. I feel like the average field has a distressing number of people these days who really just want to get in their car and do a lot of time on a racetrack, and fewer and fewer people who want to, dress up as sharks or bring a hot tub or bring a Citroen. So, it's all the more special and funny now when some dude shows up in something truly horrible or truly decorated. But I don't know. I think we've gone out the other side of laughter. I think we're now just at like, oh my fucking God. What, wait, can I say that on a podcast?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
We have an E.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad quit listening like in the first 10 minutes.
Okay. That's good. We're so far out into this own little world of ours, this little unspoken coded world of ours, that I don't even understand half of what they're talking about in HQ at this point.
There definitely is a language of lemons.
Yeah.
You just say things like robot arms.
Yeah.
And everybody knows
Yeah.
what they're talking about. Or
exactly.
like, I actually love boardroom theater. I am so enjoying this YouTube concept that someday that's going to be a theme for us. We're just going to, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but it's going to be boardroom theater.
I'm a big fan of CSI. Racetrack CSI will just throw me into hysterics every time.
All of that video stuff, not all of it, but the vast majority of that is all Nick. I mean, he very reluctantly went into this whole video thing. I had to kind of drag him kicking and screaming. And pretty quickly he realized, like, oh my God, like he should be this auteur in Hollywood. He has all of those good ideas and will show up. I mean, people assume, oh, they must get together and review all the videos and come up with a plan of, no. It's like we show up, it's 10 o'clock, you're going to start filming at 10:15. Nick is madly like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh, hey, GMs are terrible. GM boardroom theater. Okay, go. So it is not done to a great plan, but he comes up with that stuff on the fly. And because we're not very imaginative, then we'll do it over and over.
Well, it just gets better and better.
Oh, and outtakes are my favorite.
Yes.
Yes.
You can include all the outtakes you want. I'll keep watching till the end.
You'll be surprised to hear we almost get it right every single time. The first
Sure.
I'm sure, but that makes it even funnier when there's
Very
an
little
outtake.
editing. Very little
Can
editing.
we please get through one video?
Yeah. Let's see here. I think how many of our themes or theme items have come from videos? We did the
Honda Company song.
Honda Company song. We had the Hella Sweeter But Terrible stickers. We've done. I think that's about it, right?
Well,
Yeah, we
the
did
whole
two more.
The hot tub.
The
The hot
S&M
tub.
Oh, the hot tub.
You and
hot
Jeff
tub.
in
The
the
hot
hot
tub was
tub.
epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's
well.
awesome.
We thought so. Maybe Jay doesn't think so.
Oh, well.
No, I'm all for the hot tub. 100% for the hot tub.
Well, next time you're at a race on the East Coast, like never, we'll invite you in.
Yeah.
Bring your trunks.
But we have to get in early because then it becomes man soup and it's gross.
Not just man soup.
It's fat
Sweaty,
guys.
sweaty, greasy, working on a
You do
car all day.
chlorinate it, right?
Yes, we do.
So much.
But there's only
so
so much
much.
chlorine in the world.
Yeah.
So-
Really. Then it becomes a biohazard and will eat your skin off. So yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm going to throw it to the podcast and say, is there anything else that we have not spoken about? I mean, I think we could talk to Jay for about 2 more hours, but we do want to keep it a little tight. Mental has his hand up. He thinks he has another question.
He wants hair tips. That's
shoulder hair tip.
yes.
Well played. I would say the Altthusiast website. Go there. The link's in our show notes. Follow all that social media stuff. This isn't about alternative stuff. It's about finding the cool stuff and making it go faster. Everything that Jay said earlier, and it's some neat stuff. So follow all that social media crap because I know Jay won't pimp his own thing.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
Jay, is there anything else, which is what I was going to do next? We're going to do a little section we like to call On the Spot, which is where we go around and we all have to answer the same question. And usually I pose the question, and it is this week's question, especially for you, about electric cars. What electric car that they're building right now would you buy with your own money and daily drive? You're the only one on the podcast with an electric car, so we'll go to you last. Chris, 100% EV, what you buying?
None. I would love to get a Tesla, but I just don't feel like the product support's going to be there long term, and that's how we own our stuff. So, I mean, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be the Jag I-Pace because it's Jag.
You took mine. Darn. I was just doing my research. I'm like, all right, I got an I-Pace. That's where I'm going. Well, now you know my answer.
So
All right,
then
Chrissy
Mental?
wants an I-Pace. Mental, it's up to you.
There's a company out in California that's they're building the prefab kits and they're putting them in classic Beetles and classic Porsches. Jay, you probably know exactly who they are. The name escapes me right now, but I would actually
There's a bunch, but you're probably thinking of Z-Electric.
those guys.
Yeah.
I would love one of those setups in a speedster kit car. I would drive that down the Las Vegas Strip every day.
I have no idea if I want this, but I found another one that I want. A 2019 Smart EQ42.
You don't
Smart.
want that.
You don't want a Smart.
Oh, but it's so
It's a
pretty.
Mercedes.
It's
She
this
totally
big,
wants that.
but it's
Oh,
this big.
It's
It
like
would fit in the
looks
garage.
like an Evoque, like an Evoque. It's
No, it's much smaller than that. It's tiny.
Okay, fine.
All right. So I guess I will answer. And then we'll
Oh no, I lie. It was supposed to be the I was working the i8. I would like an i8 actually.
An i8. That's a good choice.
That's what I want.
I started this. I love Mental's idea, and I didn't think of it, was to repower something else. I am addicted to the YouTube channel Rich Rebuilds, which is doing exactly what Jay was talking about, is going to Copart, buying busted up Teslas, mixing and matching and getting them working. So I think that's what I would do. I would love to rebuild my own EV out of a bunch of smashed Teslas.
Well, then what body shell would you put it in?
Probably an S, just because I think that's the sexiest.
300ZX, maybe.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
International
Maybe-
Scout.
Yes. Yes, a 73 Scout 2. If I could find one of those and make that electric, that would be the awesome. No, nobody's doing a whole lot of off-roaders. You could put 4 motors on 4 wheels and power some big mutters, and I think that would make an awesome.
All of the torque right now.
All of the torque. And then I would give it to Santiago and let him rally it. Jay, now we go to you. If you could buy any EV in the world, what would you buy?
If I could buy any EV in the world, what would I buy? I have to say, I gotta double up on Chrissy. I've been watching i8s as they're getting really cheap, and they're getting really cheap. And when that thing came out, I looked at that car and I said, man, in about 5 years, that's going to look ridiculous. That is not going to age well at all. It has aged so well. That body has really aged well. That's a bargain. That's what I would get.
Yeah, they're also cool because they're not so many of them. You know, like probably out where you are in Cali, you could see a Tesla every 10 minutes in traffic.
Yeah, no, nobody bought i8s because they were preposterously expensive. And frankly, they're not that great. I mean, I've driven them. They're okay. They're not that great. But, you know, now for the eyeball to dollar ratio, it's killer. You can't beat it.
Mm.
Well, there it is. This is the point where I usually ask you to pimp your stuff, but I think Mental already has. Any websites or anything that we should go to?
No.
Don't.
Lead a clean life. Don't get suckered in. No, do not go to any of these websites.
So if you see me on an airplane, just don't talk to me very much at all.
So don't visit.
You don't know me.
Don't visit 24hoursoflemons.com. Don't visit Altthusiast. Don't visit the YouTube channel. Don't follow. Basically, anything that Eric Rude touches, don't go near it.
Exactly right. We want to remain pure, so don't go there.
The worst thing to be is popular, right, Jay?
Right, exactly.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. This has been
great.
Oops, I'm trying to get my music up. I was waiting for my co-hosts to also thank Jay.
No, seriously, Jay, thank you.
Absolutely.
You're very humble, but I know you got stuff going on, so we appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys very much. I will come back anytime. When Nick blows you off, call me.
Great. Great to have you, Jay. Hope to see you again.
Just tell him not to blow us off.
Yeah.
Come to the East Coast again.
I will.
We miss you out here. Well, thanks for downloading us and thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star frickin' rating, and tell us why you hate us. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless, like us, there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.